Hey everybody, hope you had a nice Thanksgiving. Time for the weekly fantasy football blog. I'm going to keep the energy and the tone down a little bit this week because I'm at my office and just don't want to disturb everyone. So that's the reason why I may be a little bit quieter than normal. But anyway, hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving. We're really getting down to the wire here in the fantasy football season. There's just 2 weeks of regular season left, and still some playoffs positions up for grabs, and nothing's been decided yet. So let's get to the weekly recap. The big game of the week was probably the closest thing to a lock. I haven't done the analysis of the actual standings, but the closest thing to a lock we have is the Virginia Vikings. They win over Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy to go to 8-3-1, and that's a big tough loss for Ray Finkel because that's going to put them to 6-6. They could have been 7-5 and right in the thick of the playoff hunt. And they scored a really impressive 178 points. But as Art mentioned in his post, the dueling quarterbacks Monday night, Manning versus Breeze. Breeze got 41 huge points, but wasn't. And Marcus Colston only had 10 points, so wasn't quite enough to get the Finkels over the hump. And Eli Manning got enough garbage points to secure the win for the Vikings. You would think out of 41 fantasy points, you'd think Marquez Colston would have a lot more than 10. But alas, he did not, and Virginia Vikings get the win to stay atop the MASH division. Other games of note, another high-scoring game, the Hartford Whalers win, I believe, their third in a row to go to 8-4, scoring 151 points to the Travelers' 137 points. Travelers did a great job going from 0-4 to 5-5, but have since lost 2 games in a row and are probably out of the playoff hunt, while the Whalers really strengthened their position at 8-4. Nice day for Tom Brady as normal. Laurent Robinson, really, that could be a huge pickup. I didn't even realize he was on the Cowboys, and he had 79 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he's had 5 weeks in a row he scored a touchdown. So if Laurent Robinson can stay hot for the Whalers, they're going to be tough to beat coming down the stretch. Otherwise, just sort of a steady day from the Whalers. That was the big one, was Tom Brady and Laurent Robinson. Lance Moore for the Travelers got a lot of Drew Brees' fantasy points, and Mark Sanchez had 25 fantasy points, but just not quite enough other points from the lower end. Jermichael Finley, Steve Reston, Larry Fitzgerald, just not doing too much there. So that really hurt the Travelers. So nice win for the Whalers. Another important game was not a high-scoring game, but you got beat by a girl. Stays alive in the playoff hunt, was defeating the Slim Aussies. Slim Aussies having tough time scoring the last 4 or 5 weeks. I think dropping to third in the overall point total. And Slim Aussies have a great record at 8-4, but are not necessarily hot. Obviously, it's my team, so I can speak firsthand that Phillip Rivers has just been shitty all year. And every time I played him the last 4 years, he always just scored tons of points. So I figured he was a lock to be at least average, but he's been below average and really hurting. And Julio Jones getting 0 points. I thought he was healthy. I thought he'd do well against the Vikings, but he got no catches. And Andre Johnson, had I think 1 catch. So and Calvin Johnson's been falling apart a little bit with the Lions the last couple weeks. So Slim Aussies were scoring points early in the season, having trouble, and they only score 104 points. Did miss out for obviously 25 points from Knox on the bench instead of Julio Jones' 0 points. Obviously would have helped. Not quite enough to get the win, but definitely a bench stud there, having Knox with 2 good weeks in a row on the bench this time. And without Adrian Peterson, and without Miles Austin, the girls, you got beat by a girl, scored a respectable 130 points. They get the win. They're back at 500, and they're in the playoff hunt with 2 games left. Other games of note, Third and Oolong loses to the Darth Taters. Darth Taters got 2 wins in a row, after struggling all season. So they're 3-9. They're playing spoiler. Third and long, still in a good position playoff wise, but obviously a win to go to 7-4-1 would have been much better than 6-5-1. Josh Freeman, last year's fantasy Super Bowl MVP, has just not been that great this year. Matt Moore, he is who he is. He's actually scored a lot of points, but at some point that may wear off. Obviously Roy Helu with 29 points on the bench looks like that would have not quite got the win. And Nate Washington, after I think he had like 33 fantasy points one week and gets 2 the next. So that's a bummer. And even with Jimmy Graham, the tight end for the Saints, getting 25 points, still not enough to get third and long over the hump. And the Darth Taters get the spoiler win and 2 in a row to go to 3-9. What other games did we have? I think we had the Toy Soldiers, big upset over the Cartel, who scored a lot of points this year, but have really had a tough time winning. They fall to 5-7. Toy Soldiers had probably one of their best weeks of the year. Beanie Wells was amazing. Chris Johnson finally showed up. Roddy White definitely showed up with Julio Jones on the other side for the Falcons, not getting any catches. Roddy White had tons of points. So they get a nice 162-point week. And obviously the Cartel with Vic out, Cutler out. Really the only quarterback is Tebow. Kyle Orton may end up starting for Kansas City, but maybe a little too late. So a little bit tough luck season for the Cartel. They do get 32 points from Wes Welker, but they score 129 points. They get the loss. They fall to 5-7 for their 4th loss in a row. So tough sledding for the Cartel. All right, that's all the games. So like I said, 2 weeks left in the season. Let's take a look at the standings, and I'll try and do the math on the fly to see who's eliminated. Remember, 3rd and 4th playoff positions could come from either division, so it doesn't matter if you're second in the division or not. So let's see. With 2 games left, I don't think the Vikings have quite clinched it yet. I mean, I guess if they lose 2, they'll be 8-5-1, and third and long will be 8-5-1 as well if they win 2. So, of course, I haven't looked at who's playing who to know, what teams are guaranteed to have a loss based on the head-to-head who they're playing. But I don't think they've quite clinched the division as Art claims. So they're 8-3-1. They have a 2-game lead over third and Oolong. But it looks like Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy is 2.5 games out, so they're done. Third and Oolong and Virginia Vikes fighting for playoffs for the division for the division win in the MASH division. For the Mish division, Aussies hanging on by a thread. They do have a tie record-wise with the Whalers. They do at 8-4. They do get the tiebreaker with points. But tough going for the Aussies. But still much in it for the division win and a wild card, of course. So there's 3 teams with 8 victories. You Got Beat by a Girl has a chance to win. I guess if the Whalers and the Aussies both lose 2 in a row, they'll be 8-6, and if You Got Beat by a Girl wins 2 in a row, they'll be 8-6. Probably need a lot of points to get any tiebreakers, and I don't know about head-to-head. So Slim Aussies and the Whalers and the Vikings all looking really good, but I don't think anything's been clinched yet, and there's 2 weeks left. So get your lineups in for Thursday and, scour the waiver wires for those last-minute players that are going to help your team in the end. And good luck in Week 13. Signing off. Bye-bye.